Are you over there smoking? Are you Trenton bake right now?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I had to,
understandable.
I had to smoke one to calm down a little
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm rolling up. So,
bit.
She bout to fly me no winds, cat. She bout to take me no winds, cat. Nigga can't even see me on winds, cat. She bout to fly nigga winds, cat. She bout to fly me no way out of here. Chief out of flight, nigga can't even see me on way out of here. I'm too far in the sky. Heard me, it's ash ready to dump my ashes. Bitch so pretty, look better than Cassie. Puffin on Zootiez and she calling me daddy. Walking on shit, turn it up and not gassing. Came out the gutter, they ain't never me the swagger. Secure the bag, got a bitch, I'm a bagger. Turning it up, gotta make sure she good. Park a 2 mil in the middle of my hood. Drinking the mud I made out of the sewer. Chrome heart accessories.
Cypher. It's your co-host, C.R. Wise with Akia. Another edition here. We got Trenton Bake with us. What's going on with y'all?
Nothing much, nothing much. How everybody doing?
It's good over here for me. Excited for this episode. One of Trenton's own again. So we got all Trent in the house, so it's mad love for the city. I guess we just jump right into it, right? So tell us a little bit about when it comes to cannabis, like what can you add to the conversation? Let's just start off right with that.
To begin, I could add a lot of knowledge as far, well, on my behalf, as far as branding and marketing. I've been pretty much a year to a year and a half focusing on that through different we got a bunch of different inventories such as hoodies, t-shirts. We once had lighters, working on some trays and stuff like that. You know, a bunch of I would say more so tobacco products to, you know, kind of uh, expand the brand pretty much.
When did you begin even partaking in cannabis?
Probably I'll say 2013, and that was more so experimenting with it because I was big in sports growing up as I grew up. So, you know, I never really had the time for cannabis and stuff like that until I was a little mischievous kid. So that's really how I stumbled upon it, being curious, growing up, being around it. And yeah, I just grew a passion from it. Probably ever since then. But like I said, I was more so busy into sports. But yeah, I built the passion from there.
What sport did you play?
I played baseball, basketball, and football. But as I grew up, I weaned off of baseball, focused on basketball and football, going into middle school, high school. And I went off in college to play football for 2 years up until my sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so, you know, anyway, back to what is it you think you bring to this conversation on cannabis? You know, whether it's your general knowledge or something specific that the people may need to know, besides just your branding of clothing.
I like talking. I'm pretty much knowledgeable in a lot of different areas as far as cultivation. I'm in communication with a few cultivators in different areas. Genetics, I'm big into. I like to. I'm a big person on genetics, so even when I smoke personally, I look for genetics more than, you know, the typical things people look for: color, smell, you know, all of the typical things. Um, it's a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm a weed head. I could go on all day about this. So like when you ask me that my mind just goes in a bunch of different directions. Uh, Shoot, how I like looking at comparing the West Coast and the East Coast, how it's a different like culture the cultures in different places, even overseas in the UK, stuff like that. It's a bunch of different stuff I think about.
Okay, explain some of those differences that you may see in the culture.
So I've been seeing the West Coast trying to push like that OG, probably before my time a little bit, even though I'm exploring it now because like I said, I'm a connoisseur. So like the OGs really beginning to get big. The stuff pretty much with the less purple. And over here, purple is a big thing. The candy terps are a huge thing. And I just feel as though it's important to get the people to know that there's more than just candy. Because a lot of I notice a lot of the older people from around here are big on the OGs, the sours, the hazes, even though the hazes and sours are a little harder to find. But yeah, a lot of the olders or more so West Coast are big on that.
For the people that don't quite know, when you say purple, break down, because we got a variety of listeners, right? We got some people who've been smoking weed for mad long, and then we got some people that since it's legal, they kind of reconsidering. So like, what's all the allure? What's all the hype about the purple? Why would somebody even want purple? You know, like why are people looking for the things that they're looking for?
Based off of what I experienced and what people have told me, is a connotation of exotic, za. So people pair based off of what I've seen. Again, everybody has their different reasons, but people pair that exotic feel with the color purple. They associate the two for whatever reason, and it's like a big mind thing that I see that's big on the East Coast, New York, all throughout pretty much the tri-state. Honestly, it's a big like demand for purple, and it's AKA candy terps, which is I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is gelato and Skittles cross.
I definitely understand you when you say candy terps, but can you break that down for the listener that may not understand what you mean when you say candy terps?
Yeah, so the terpenes, so from my understanding, because like it's a subjective thing, I tell everybody, well, not terpenes, but basically that's the oils, like, on the nug. So basically that gives off the flavor, the smell, and it gives it a candy smell, from my understanding. And
so
you're pretty much on. I just wanted you to explain it because that's pretty much right. As the terpenes are what gives the characteristics to the weed, whether it's the aroma, the what you call it, the resin, the oily, the stickiness, taste.
yeah,
right?
it's a kind of like take it even further. If you're new to cannabis, right, or you inexperienced in the if you're inexperienced in the cultivation and genetics world, the terpenes are what is going to interact with your senses essentially, and each bud has its own set of characteristics that are going to cause you to experience the weed different. So if the terpenes are different, the weed might taste different, it might smell different, it might look different, it might feel different. And so these are just the things that make each strain, or basically each line or plant, or that's the best, each species of the plant,
each strand,
different. Right. So in case somebody didn't know, that the strain of weed is like a species of the plant, that they all have different characteristics because of the different terpenes. So kind of what Trent Baked is kind of saying here is that it seemed like on the East Coast, there tends to be people lean towards one kind of version or combination of terpenes because it gives off the vibe that the weed is exotic, it's from another place, it's going to be gas, it's going to be pressure, like. But what I kind of hear you saying is that ain't always the case. Is that true?
Yeah, so from what I believe, like, and I'm pretty sure, like, as I mentioned before, a lot of older people who smoke and was there for like the other areas or the block, quote unquote block, where that's what's known as what they used to sell on the block. But basically what I've heard from those people, that's the type of terps they prefer over these candy terps. And a lot of West Coasters like Cali, Vegas. Yeah, though, that's pretty much the sense that I get from it.
Well, it's all got to do with era. So you exactly right. See, because things strike the senses, the terps that you get that take you back to those defining moments in your life, maybe the formidable years when you first started smoking. Those probably will be the ones that you'll be selective to, even as weed evolves.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say the older people, the West Coast, is because of the demographic and the areas in which those weeds are being grown and what's heavy out there. Now, when you come over here, the first time, we also got to look at how culture play effect in what's being smoked or what's being drank at the time. If a rapper say he drinking Cavassier, everybody going to the liquor store get Cavassier, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Cameron album named Purple Haze, everybody gonna go get some Purple Haze, right?
Yep.
When Dre had the Chronic, like we was over here in the East Coast talking about the weed was Chronic, like not knowing that was or every weed we had, we was talking about it was Chronic because it was fire or gas, right?
Yep.
That was a specific type of weed for them, and we wasn't smoking Chronic over here. But yes, you're right. If it hit the taste buds a certain way and you become biased to that in some form, you probably hold that near and dear to your heart if you smoked a certain strain or you were smoking a certain strain in a certain time of your life that bring back certain nostalgic memories.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna be real. Like for me, so I've traveled a few places and have tried cannabis in all these different places, including CBD, including hemp, and including like different strains of THC. So I haven't been to the West Coast yet to smoke, but like I done been to New York, we in Jersey, I done been to DC, and like I didn't notice about myself until I'm out of town and I'm like in their dispensary or in their weed culture, just vibing with the people that's there. And everything I pick always be like mango kush or like, I don't know, like it always have a fruit. Like it always has some fruit before it. Like it's always like fruity pebbles. Like it's always something sweet. I noticed. And I didn't even notice about that about myself until, we started the podcast and we come on here and we be asking our guests what you smoking on. And I realized I said half of the, like about 90% of the stuff that I smoke, it like has some fruity name or something like that. Like, and I have no clue why that is. Like not to say that I won't smoke like something that's like sour kush or diesel or something like that. It's not that I won't smoke those things, but it's just for some reason I'm just always gravitate towards whatever got like a strawberry shortcake strain or something like that. Like I'm always picking some fruit. So
that's that subconscious inclination to take you back to something. You smoked something that had that fruity name in front and was nice, and now you just keep going back to that. Familiarity.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I got some mango kush. I'm a pretty happy person. Like,
yeah, I do.
Real.
Yeah. Now that you say that, it definitely do bring that to light in my mind. Like you said, this all boils down kind of what you going for, what you was used to at the point of you starting, of when you started, I should say.
Right.
It's weird for me though. I'll probably say that's why I'm not so much on, like now that you say that, I'm not so much of a fruity person, because as I started to smoke, that lemon cherry crosses and all of that wasn't around in 2013.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta understand, Trenton, you talking to somebody that's been smoking since 1990.
Yeah.
So you know how many strands of weed you name it that wasn't around when I started smoking, and then in 1990, I'm a young boy to some of my old heads that have been smoking since Rick James. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they were smoking Maui Wowie and Hawaiian Gold, shit like that, right? But you know, at the end of the day, you know, since you know something about genetics and the eugenics of plants, you know that all they do is crossbreed, and you keep, you know, you keep developing and hybrid, and until you just keep coming up with stronger strains and different strains, and you know what I'm saying? So, you know, most of the strains we smoke now is nothing but derivatives of what we smoked in past years, you know, when you just combine them in certain forms. We was big in my age for actually taking two different weeds and still, you know, I don't know if y'all do that too much no more. I don't see younger smokers do that a lot no more. Like we take three different strands of weed back in our day, you know, you beef and broccoli,
mix
stuff like
them
that.
up.
That's what we were calling it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
you know,
definitely to merge them two different tastes. You got to every now and then.
Well, you just said you're a weed head, so weed heads know. Like, I'm rigid too. Kia tell you like I'm partial to haze, but I love cannabis. So don't think I'm not gonna smoke another strand that I like and say, well, no, that's not haze. So I know some people that rigid. Well, if it's not this, I don't want to smoke it. But you know, everybody got their own needs. I just want to smoke good cannabis.
So I got a question, right? This is a question that I've been asking myself. So for me, I watched the city go through a runts craze, and it was literally white runts, purple runts, blueberry runts. Like, is it real? Like, are people just putting names on stuff now, or is this really truly that people are really making this many crosses with runts?
Nah, not necessarily. It's probably, you know, you got the core crosses pretty much. And then from there, you gotta think about it. Like blueberry, you can't, out of weed, you're not gonna get nothing really too blueberry like. So I feel as though the naming comes in with the branding and what usually gives the brand a similar vibe to, you know, make it appealing to the mass.
And if we talk about a black market, to be all the way honest, you know, there are many things we do to give some of these weeds tastes and smells that are not on the up and up. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Spraying bags is a big thing. Like, it's a lot that goes on that is deceiving in the industry that real smokers should know about.
Right.
And saying that there are things that people do, you know, it's probably on both sides, honestly. Don't be shocked if you see it on the legal side too. But I guess people who, you know, not really in tune with maintaining the true essence of the plant, right? I guess that's the difference between organic fruit and not organic fruit. So we doing organic weed versus not organic weed. So with the not organic weed being what's sprayed and stuff like that, would you say that those are having, like, based off of what you know, of course, we are no medical experts, but would you say that this might have some sort of adverse effect on people's like smoking experience? Like, you know, if somebody started tweaking, is it really what they sprayed on the weed that caused the tweaking? Because I know a lot of people have questions about that. Like, how safe is it to consume weed that has been altered?
Well, I think it's more so for the sake of the taste. So if anything, it'll be like a more so like a long-term like downfall to it.
Right. It wouldn't be something so instantaneous as to have a tweak out moment. It'll be something more, you saying something like cancerous down the line or something like that.
Yep. Because they are, for again, like, it's important to understand these brands or brands in general, you know, the legal industry in general, they're not trying, they want you ultimately to come back, but they're trying to deceive you by the smell rather than the taste. So they're not trying to do anything to like harm you in the actual moment because that wouldn't benefit their business.
From the legal side, but when we, when we talk about the cannabis industry, and when we talk about that, we can't just only talk about that as being regulated now. We must talk about where the grassroots of it, and we know that was in back alleys and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with that, you're gonna always deal with people that is on the come up, and they're not real culturalists or purists. They're not doing it for the art. So if this was hip hop, you're gonna always get those that come rap just for some money, right? They ain't doing it for good music that's gonna stand the test of time. And when you get people that's doing things just for money, they put out anything, trash, basura.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
So I guess we don't want to scare the people, right? It's definitely more people that are for the art and for cannabis, as you could tell through the podcast.
Of course.
More people. But in those bad actors. But I guess the next thing that I feel like I would have if I'm not on the podcast, if I take myself out of myself, next question I guess I would have is, what are some things that I could do to not be duped? Like, should I test? Like, should I test the weed when I get home?
First you can listen to the Boozer Bud podcast and get all your facts straight before you go out there and experiment with anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
you can also listen to the strands and some of the people I say, because then you know they reputable.
Yep.
Right.
That too. Just basically have a reputable or trusted person you dealing with. It's not always 100% way to know, but ask questions. Ask what's the strain name, so that way you can search it and see, does it look similar? Does it, based off the reviews and stuff, is it giving you a similar smell?
You gotta do the knowledge. Use your senses. So when you learn of what it is, you hear the name of it, you study it. I mean, you look at it, you smell it. If it made a noise, you listen to it to make sure that it do that exact same thing the next time you run across it, or else you're dealing with a duplicate or a fake or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And another thing is, people don't they also go for the cheapest stuff they could possibly find. You got to understand, business period. If you buying something cheaper, chances are the quality is lower depending on how cheaper it is. Higher price, most likely also, it depends on who you're dealing with as well. But most likely higher price, you will have higher quality. That's a given. Not, of course, I shouldn't say a given because dealing with everybody, that's not. But,
Yeah, like most people who real about their business, and that's why I go back to who you doing business with. So even if you're on the legal side, are these dispensaries really trustworthy? What if they're giving you to prove that they're trustworthy? Do they have the facts about their weed? Are they usually accurate? This, that, and the third. But then even if you are going to indulge on the black market, because let's just be real, people won't be people, and there are going to be people who still indulge on the black market. Like, this is what they call the plug. Get you a plug you could trust that ain't out here trying to just sell you anything. Get you somebody that also care about cannabis and love cannabis just as much as you might love cannabis. So they invest in the time into their work. And so really what you're saying is you got to be able to get with somebody trustworthy that's not going to give you no trash. Like, that's not going to try to set you up. And I think that's in anything, right? So if you get in medical help, you want to get the best doctor. If you're an athlete, so you talk, I know you in the sports world, we're going to touch on that too. But like, if you in the sports world, you an athlete, you want to be the best athlete you could be, you're going to go get the best trainer. So, and on the other end, I feel like it's telling people who are in the cannabis world, be ethical about what you're doing. Like, if you got to charge somebody a little bit more because it costs you a little bit more, just go ahead and I'll pay extra as long as you don't put nothing on my weed. Like, I'm cool as long as ain't nothing on my weed.
Yep. It's crazy out here though. Like, legal, non-legal is crazy. Like you said, that's a very good point. You definitely do have to have a trusted source and just, in a sense, be locked in with them. Rather, it's a legal dispensary or, like you said, the plug.
Well, I noticed
Right.
even with legal dispensaries, people usually have relationships, right? So I've noticed that even, because now that legal dispensaries have been around in Jersey for a little over a year, right? Almost 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or almost a year, however long it is, right? People are pretty much loyal to their one site. So even if they're Curaleaf customers, they go to the one Curaleaf though. They really don't want to go to other ones in other towns. They want to go to the one in the town they go to. Right? And that's because you build a relationship, you know what you get in there, and you kind of just don't want to waver off that path when the path is serving you right.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Curaleaf is more like a brand where they're trying to say like we're going to be pretty much comparable anyone you come to, but we all know that not to be true sometimes too. So you just go with trusted, and pretty much
Definitely.
This is an up and up culture. So you'll find a good relationship with somebody if that's what you're looking for.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely true. It's so much we could take from just overall, whether you looking at this as you like being a cannabis business owner or you in the cannabis world or you're a person that's just starting cannabis. Like really, cannabis is about, like you just said, that like cannabis is about relationships. And if you're looking to get into it, like you're just looking to be transactional, usually the cannabis culture is not really for you. Cause it's like, to be honest, you're
Well,
when you find
you'll get
love you
weeded out
like, you
anyway.
want to hit them up.
You'll get weeded out anyway, right? And I'm not advocating anything negative to happen to anybody, right? I'm just going to speak about the laws of karma, right? And talk about how an organism can be self-governing. If your name gets around and this is what you're doing, people will, and it will get around. If you do it the more than once, somebody will be like, yo, I got this from such and such. The bullshit this motherfucker gave me, like, and then it's over for you. So, like, the culture will kick you the fuck out.
Yep, that's in pretty much the business aspect in general. Anyways, like a big thing of mine is your face card is everything. Like your reputation is everything.
Mm-hmm. So we know that you got a little bit of the marketing and branding piece when it comes to cannabis culture, like, and that kind of talks to that. What's your reputation as a company? So tell us the reputation you're building as a cannabis person in this industry. What's a reputation you hope to build, and you like is, let's say, in 5 years, what do you want to be known for? What do you, so when we see Trenton Bake, what you want us to think?
Basically the innovation of cannabis, rather is through apparel and clothing, because like that's something that like a hobby is mine as well. Like I don't always get dressed, but when I do get dressed, I like to get dressed. So just innovation in general, such as trays, lighters, different lighters with grinders, just different ideas innovating cannabis industry and all. But generally, probably 5 years from now, I would want the reputation of just being.
You want the reputation of cannabis connoisseur by your peers.
Yes, basically, and just for people to know they can consume good cannabis and to know what good cannabis is when they're consuming it.
Right. That's good, because we need you, because there's so many people like with your background in cultivation, genetics, and understanding also people, because that's what I hear when you talk. Like I hear that you kind of observe people and you kind of can see like, oh, I see why they chose that, or I see what their thought process is in doing that. That's probably that sociology background in college you got.
Yeah,
But
because
Yeah.
you see how he broke down the candy perks being preferred over here. I mean, the candy turks being preferred over here versus something that's a little more piney or woodsy on the West Coast. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big thing of mine. I observe people and the everyday interactions amongst people. I observe all of that. Different business aspects too, as I go into different businesses and establishments. All of this is observing and taking notes for what I got going on and interpreting it in different ways where I could connect it to what I got going on, basically.
Yeah, that's dope because I feel like you kind of, when it comes to cannabis business, I just already know you're going to thrive because I can hear that you kind of touched every aspect of business with the inclusion of cannabis. Like, because when you're selling, whether you're selling cannabis or cannabis related products, me having a marketing background, like it's like you do have to know your marketing, but just as much as you know your marketing, you got to understand your product. You have to understand your audience. And it's like, that's basically what I hear you saying is like breaking down the business sense of it all. It's like, you got to know we on the East Coast. The people on the East Coast probably prefer this. If I was over in Cali, I might be trying to push something different. And then you got to know, like, yeah, the people going to get hype about this. You tell them I got that purple or deck, but like, I don't know, because it'd be a big debate in Trenton, at least for me. Just got to take a pause there. It's a big debate. You ask people on how much a fire eighth should cost. Some people going to tell you 25. Some people going to tell you 60. I'm going to leave my opinion out of it, but like, how stuff gonna flow. Like, some people is like, if it ain't 60 and up, I ain't buying. Or if it's $60, it better make me fly. You gotta know how it's gonna be received. And it sounds like that's really what you do a lot of, like, kind of building your knowledge and is understanding how things are going to be received and how to push stuff out to the right people.
Yep. That touches exactly.
Trenton is actually a small market. So if you don't branch out elsewhere, like, you can only be subject to the pricing of the market. And in this market, that's why people's attitudes are 25 an eighth, all that's trash. Because in this small market, a $25 eighth more than likely is trash, because people already know that for something nice, they can get a decent price for it. So even if they could give it to you for 25, they wouldn't. They would at least say 40, 45, because it's no need to come down off of what somebody else selling it for 50, almost 60. Why would I come down too much more? Like, that just don't even make sense to economics, right?
Well, I mean, I see, me being a business person, I probably would challenge that, because as you know, lower prices, depending on, no matter what it is, brings more people in. So
now we talking strategy and format. So I'm kind of with you, but I'm just throwing the idea out there to what the masses or the majority would do, not the innovative and ingenious mind that's trying to circumvent the problems, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nah, definitely. I withdraw
but
that.
I'm
That
definitely
makes
with you. Because as soon as you was presenting your argument, I had already argued myself on that side before I even put the idea out there. But I put it out there just thinking, what would the masses do, right? And the masses, the majority, right? If I got 10 people with apes out here, and they all getting the same quality of weed, but for different prices because of where their plugs are located or situated, or how it may be, right? If 5 of them selling that A for $50, even though 2 of them may can sell theirs for 20 at the price they getting it or 25, they probably don't come down too much. Whether it don't even gotta be greed. It's just you don't want to mess up the status quo too much. Right? First off, we it's smart business not to breed too much jealousy, hate, and envy too, to have other people band up and coup against you. So you gotta navigate it in a way that the majority will keep the level up high regardless even if they can give you somewhat of a break.
And it's politics to it too, like saying like in business anyway, looking at the market, because if you come, like you said, if you come, I don't care if I'm selling cupcakes and it's already a bunch of cupcake bakeries out here and everybody is selling their cupcakes for $10 or more. If I come and sell a bunch of cupcakes at $2 a cupcake, a lot of people gonna be mad. So it's like sometimes in business, sometimes you do take that risk in business. Sometimes you are the person that come in and you do cut everybody at $2, but you got to know that that's the risk that come to it. And so I think all of this that we talking about too, that's another reason. I just got done saying this to somebody. The hood taught me everything I needed to know to be successful as an entrepreneur. Like I went to school to formalize it, but the hood taught me everything I needed to know about economics and how people work.
We're actually talking real business right here, right? We're talking marketing schemes, strategies. We're talking macro and microeconomics. Right? This is real talk right here. So,
right, and if I can add, as the marketer kind of background in me comes out, I would love if my plug developed a loyalty program. So even if you charge them other people $65 for 8, can I get like $10 off? Like just for rocking with you all the time? Because I feel like that would just
always
make me so
a
happy.
relationship. And guess what a good steward does to keep their customers coming back? Sales.
Right, coupons.
Rewards. Right? You get platinum rewards, build up 1,000 gold stars. Right? And that's not always, it's not always so much about them rewarding you, right? It's more so about them continuing to have a relationship with you. So they'd much rather have you come for 50 years and spend $100 every year than for you to come one time and spend $2,000.
And that's the thing that I feel like sometimes, in the same way that the hood taught me everything I needed to know, the hood also gave me kind of warning flags, because I feel like growing up, you've seen people hustle, and when people was hustling, they spin it, make it back, spin it, make it back, spin it, make it back. Everybody living for right now, like how much money they can make in 24 hours. And I feel like with business, you gotta have a plan. Like, yes, you want to make the most money you can with the 24 hours you got, but at the same time, you also thinking about 24 days, 24 months, 24 years. And that's like kind of like what you're saying is like, yeah, you got a new customer in those 24 hours. And then how you going to make that customer spend their next 24 hours with you, and the next one, and the next one. So every time I come, I need some weed, I'm coming to you because I rock with you and I like your value. And over the span of my life, like you said, you done got $100 from me every year. And if it's weed, you done got way more of $100 from me personally. But like you making stacks off of me if I'm coming and buying my weed from you every time I need to re-up. So it's like, that's a lot more money than just trying to get $60 right now. You know, like that's over the course of time. It's a longer game at play. You got to know how to have a tunnel vision, but also the aerial view. It's like a balance.
Right. Well, the tunnel vision is the tunnel vision to success, right? So not letting nothing distract you from that. But within that tunnel, it may be many sights. So that don't mean that that's a one path of vision tunnel. Right? That just means you being focused on the prize at hand.
Yep.
But you definitely got to be mindful of all the dimensions of the tunnel too, right? Because the tunnel still got up, down, left, and right. You still got to watch all that. Take it all in. Yeah, and that's real.
That's 100%.
You know, I know we talked a little bit about your cultivation experience, right? But like, tell us how your passion sort of developed. So you smoke and what would you say, 2013? And then how do you get where you start getting into genetics, you know, like as much as you can tell or you want to tell, how do you get to the point where you're like, okay, I smoked for the first time 2013, and then the mix is sports involved. So like, are you using cannabis with the sports? Like how do we get to the point where we get you now?
Yeah, so I'll pretty much give y'all the whole rundown. So pretty much starting through high school, that's when I became pretty frequent. I would probably smoke after practices, not every day, but you know, I ain't gonna lie, most days probably smoke after practice. After, you know, games, losses, wins, all of that. But I didn't really get into genetics until I was about a sophomore in college. That's when I finished football. So I kind of shifted my focus, kind of thinking about what I was going to do after college. And I wasn't set in on cannabis at all, but I just was bored in college, and you know, my mind was expanding, and then come thinking the brand and all of that. So basically around that time, that's when I became interested in genetics. And then probably like,
So do you think if they had a course at the university or college that you attended around cannabis, you would have pursued the field of cannabis and college? Yeah.
If they had a program in college, would I have taken it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. My housemate,
100%.
yeah, my housemate actually flew out to Cali. We had a weekend break. He flew out to Cali to take like a course at, I forget, it's like a notorious college out there for weed. He flew out there to take it, and he pretty much got a certificate within that weekend for taking some type of course. It was on cultivating. But
so like a one-on-one programming on the basics of cultivation, something like that.
Yep. I don't know exactly to what degree, but yeah, I don't even know what school it was at.
Yeah, Cali set precedents for even, you know, Jersey and other states, you know. So
yeah, 100%. You see that as far as it's simply the genetics, like as we said, it's a lot of it's only so much you could go from, but basically you see the genetics over there, they're trying to grow, they're trying to master them over here. And well, at least a lot of smaller growers I know. And that's really what they're looking as their big ticket, as to, you know, getting
right. That's the blueprint.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, Cali definitely shapes the whole market.
Yeah, right now, if we all from the town. If a motherfucker be like, yo, I got that Cali, right?
Right.
You want to smoke. He ain't say you got good Cali or nothing. He just, I got that Cali.
Keep it real with me. Y'all think Trenton could get there? Like, I got this from, Trenton is valid weed for me. I know when I went away to school, I was like, take me back home. I want the weed back home. But you think that we could develop like a culture like that?
Well, I'm talking about as far as cultivating, growing here?
Yeah.
I think we can go good strains here, but I think climate, even if we did greenhouses and indoor grows, climate is not going to allow for the plethora of things coming from Cali.
Yeah, and also I think Cali just they probably would. I mean, yeah, we probably would grow. Our scale of cultivators would grow because of how close we are to New York, which is
Yes.
basically probably like our Cali of the East Coast. So
Right, but you see how even the strains are different, right? So we know climatic influences are big to the cultivation of marijuana. Right? And not saying that you won't have comparable strains, potent strains, and all that. What I'm saying is you're not gonna have the same strains.
Say the reason why I asked though is because I low-key been thinking it's a few organizations that do like urban agriculture in our city, and they do like maybe community gardens or they teach people. And I low-key feel like we should be teaching people, like that's an aspect of cannabis that I would like to see in Trenton, is like combining the people who do urban agriculture with teaching people ways to grow quality weed, but in an urban setting. Because when you think about Cali, like as much as I think of like LA and a lot of people, I also think of like they got like just valleys of land that to just like spread out and grow weed. But like in Trenton, you know, like we live, I ain't gonna say we live in a concrete jungle because we got like Mill Hill and Calvert Park that's like vast spaces of land, but nobody's gonna grow weed in those land. Like most of the land where people could potentially grow weed, like there's houses there, there's industry, like, you know, there's businesses there.
Right.
So
I get what you're saying. So right. It wouldn't be. So when we think about Cali like that, what you notice is those that weed isn't being grown in the urban settings, right? So even if someone says, "Yeah, I got this weed from LA," they probably talking about LA County, and it was grown out in a rural setting somewhere, right? Or I mean, you got grows, but the climate different, so they got backdoor grows and all that, and I mean, backyard grows and all that in Cali, but we talking about like Humboldt and Orange counties and things like that. There's acres of land out there, like just to grow bud.
Yeah, definitely. But then it factors in, like you said, the scale too, the scale of how much is grown, because a lot of small batch come from the Bay Area too, which is more city-like, but like we said, that's smaller batch,
right? And that's a whole different climate. And that's a whole different climate than Southern California. Which is another thing people don't even. If you're not familiar with the West Coast, you're from the East Coast. You don't even. Please do not think about the size of Jersey and then the size of Cali. Cali take up almost a whole coast. There's only 3 states on that coast, man.
Yeah.
So the climate in Northern Cali is very different than the climate in Southern Cali. It's not like that's like the climate in Georgia and the climate in Baltimore. It's like Florida and Baltimore, right?
Right. That could be drastically different because some people actually, well, I ain't gonna say Maryland really get a winter.
You can grow oranges in Florida. You're not growing no damn oranges in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I definitely get what y'all saying too. Like, so I think that's a good point to focus on for people who listen and don't really know much about cannabis. Like, cannabis is an actual plant. So like, as much as like you think about it, like, oh, you smoke it, because we don't like walk around smoking like bell peppers, you know. So like that's the only difference with cannabis. But like you know, cannabis is an actual plant. So environmental factors matter, you know. So what is your cannabis being grown in? What kind of soil? Or what are the people who are like tending to this plant that are they keeping up with it? Are they
many varieties? And this is what's so great about it, right? Because as we listen to even Trenton Bake talk about genetics, I hear the excitement when he say, whenever you get excited about genetics, it's because you like the manipulation of its properties to try to get it in a superlative form for you and your taste, and to pass that on. right? And that never stops. That's the art in this. So
This
I
is
know what I
science.
like. I know the qualities of what I like in smoking marijuana, right? And I can't get them all in the same strain. So ideally, I would like to put them all into one strain, even though that probably can't happen because sometimes I want to be stuck in my couch and sometimes I want to be turned up to the max.
Yeah. And it's crazy too that you say that too, because it's like cannabis is it's a science to it. And just like in business, you have to move calculated. That's a part of the business of cannabis is like cultivation is important, because if you cultivate some trash, you just spent all that time cultivating trash. Like that's money wasted. That's soil, resources, water wasted for you to, like, you know.
We talk about this all the time, kid, right? So since it's all an experience, we got to give context to what we mean by trash, right? Because it can have all the euphoric properties of something you want, and it can taste like straight shit, and you don't want to smoke that, right?
Yeah.
Or it can have all the taste. This shit tastes like the best dessert you ever had, and you just ain't high. Never. That's like they both trash.
Yeah. And I think too, like a lot of people don't know that a big part of why Cali, when you hear Cali over here, I feel like, this is my personal opinion. When you hear people say, "Oh, I got this fresh from Cali," or "I got this straight from Vegas," or whatever else, when people say stuff like that, "Oh, this from the West Coast," a lot of what you're really getting, what you're really experiencing, is the fact that cannabis has been legal over there, which means they've been putting dollars behind research and cultivation, right? So with these states over here on the East Coast, like whereas Colorado been doing it for, I think, like a decade now, they got research and they effed up enough. Like, in fact, some of the states over here trying to study them states to figure out how they got their legal market together and how are they growing leaps and bounds in the cannabis industry. Like you just said, your housemates flew to Cali to learn. Yeah, so it's like in Jersey, as we get this new cannabis industry going, whether we talking about black market or legal, like it would be smart for anybody in the cannabis industry to really get down on that research and development that Trenton Bake talking about, because he putting the time in for his research, and that's going to pay off. Because while other people just now trying to open up their notebook and take notes, he been doing this, he been experimenting, he been in contact with people. So it's like, I feel like anybody, if you got a cannabis business, start investing in your research and the source of your product. So if you got edibles, invest in having a quality person to buy your bud from. If you got tinctures and oils, invest in a quality source to get the marijuana, the cannabis, the plant from, because that's what's going to set you apart from the competition, I feel.
Yep.
Yes, the cannabis industry is synonymous to McDonald's. You better go get the best potato farmers out there.
And that's basically where branding comes in, even in the legal market, because they reach out to a lot of black market brands that's popular out in Cali to bring their products into the stores. It's a bunch of loopholes, of course, but you know.
Without giving up too much of your knowledge, because I believe people should, their flowers should be given for their knowledge, but in part on the people, because I'm gonna say without too much of your intellectual property, I should say, because I'm always willing to share knowledge, but we are business, so we do have trade secrets. But like, of any quality growers, like if I heard the name, so I think me and you just talked about this, Dad, when you used to hear the name Branson, you used to understand that Branson meant this is quality stuff. So if I heard a cultivator's
on the
name,
East Coast,
on the if I heard if I heard a name, a grower, a cultivator, if I heard a name right now, in your opinion, what would be that name that I could be like, yeah, that's gonna be some pressure, that's gonna be fire, that's gonna be gas?
An actual cultivator. It's hard because I'm not gonna lie, they don't care about being the face of anything. They're more just a person-person interaction. So from my knowledge and of the growers that I know, they're nerdy, you know, they don't really care for interaction amongst people that much. So I'm not sure they're not reputable if in that sense. It's more so
they're branded.
Right.
It's more so
Right.
brands that are the face of certain stuff. So in that case, I like to go to like a Don Murphy's, which is out of the Bay Area, because they're famous for their candy, the Runts' flavor. But they really like their cultivators really excelled at it and they mastered it. They're one of the top brands with what everybody loves, Runts, but their quality is above quality.
Right. And okay, so I guess a good question too is, let's say I don't know anybody black market, right? Let's say I'm a person that just heard Boozer Bud podcast latest drop, said I think I know enough to safely consume some cannabis, and I think I know I want some relaxation properties, right? You know what you want. And but I don't know nobody black market. Where do I where do I start? Because that's a question people have. Where do I start? Should I go to my dispensary? Should I contact Trenton Bake? Where do I start?
You definitely contact Trenton Bake. That's not on my behalf. I'm the merchandise and clothes production. Like I'm in charge of all the merchandise, but Trenton Bake will take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And how would they get at Trenton Bake?
They can follow them on Instagram at Trenton Bake _ TRENTON Bake BAKED _
Bet.
What merch you got right now? T-shirts,
Right, yes.
sweatshirts,
Right now we got embroidered T-shirts with the logo, the red lettered logo, and we have hoodies as well. They're embroidered with the TB logo as well as our bridge logo on the back, which is something everybody likes as well. The bridge logo, the Trenton Bake, we remixed that and did Trenton Bake Bridge. So that's a dope idea that everybody loves about the brand.
Got your Instagram, right? We got your merch. How are you shipping, or you just local pickup right now? You looking to ship it later? How would I get my hoodie?
We could ship. We ship next day pretty much is order. We do local pickup or delivery as well. So really either, no matter how you need it, we'll get it to you no matter how.
Get it how you live. Get it how you live. Get it now before it's gone.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fire. And being somebody from Trenton, I'm gonna be real with you. I've been telling a lot of people, with Jersey's market becoming legal, I'm now able to more openly visit other people's hoods, be like, yo, where y'all cannabis at? But one thing I've been telling people is Trenton really got it when it comes down to it. The creativity, like you said in the beginning, innovation. And I think now it's really just a matter of putting the pieces together. Like, oh, you cultivate? Okay, I sell. All right, you sell. I do the, what they call the bags. You know, the how the bags have all the designs and stuff like that. Oh, I design bags, or I produce the bags. You know what? I make T-shirts. You know what? I screen print. Like, and it's really just a matter of people really coming together and creating a cohesive.
That's right. You got to put your talent to use. If you draw, you can be a designer for bags, right? If you got to realize that this is a whole industry. It's not just about those that smoke. It's not just about those that sell. Right?
And I rock with the fact that, at Boozer Bud, we here for the people to stay informed. So it's like, if you don't know, listen, play the episode, and now you know, right? Because there's people talking about what's really going down, and there's people that they know where they gonna be, and they got all the knowledge for success, right? They bringing you with their journey, and that's why I love doing this. That's why I love being a co-host and being able to just spark one up and really just talk, because it's like I really feel like cannabis is like, when you go to New York, they always tell you it's certain things, you're gonna get up there, certain food, certain clothes. You go to Atlanta, it's certain music you gonna hear. Like, I really see for our city, you come to Trenton, man, we got all the good people, good weed. Like, that's how I really feel we could be.
We done had gas. We done had gas since I've been smoking. So that's one thing I can tell you about this city, right? And I know firsthand that it's had gas for a long time. Zaza, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to flourish, especially with our help.
Right. And I just really want to see my people, especially my people that, that you and I talk a lot about the legal stuff, but I hope that we get to the point, my people that was black market, that you reaping all the benefits of this legal industry. I hope that we making enough noise that all them barriers get lifted for you. Because y'all the ones that really pioneered it. And roses should be given, for my people that was black market, and maybe you trying to find a way to legal market or whatever. Like, I hope that, I wish that on every cannabis business in general, but especially for my people in Trenton that been holding us down even when it was kind of hot to do it. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, shout out to all them.
That's what it's all about. Taking
all
that
the
risk.
pioneers, you hear me?
Yes, sir. Definitely gotta give a shout out to them.
Because for real, like, yeah, that. I feel like that's what I want to see for the city. Just Trenton up in smoke. We just all high and happy. Like,
word.
Well, that's our mission.
Right.
Let's get them all high, keep them all happy.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Well, I thank you for coming to join us for another edition of the Cypher. Y'all make sure to stay tuned, stay in touch, stay informed.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Tell us one more time your IG so that the people can find you.
You can find me at Trenton B. TrentonBaked _.
Right. So make sure you drop him a follow. If you aren't following us already, follow us at Boozer Bud Podcast. BOOZERBUDPODCAST. There we go. Make sure you follow us at Boozer Bud Podcast, where we dropping new episodes on YouTube and Spotify. We on Instagram and Facebook. Keep in contact with us. And make sure you click the link in our bio to find out how to connect and listen more to the show. But until then,
peace.
Peace.